Welcome to the Sunday, July 12th, 2026, Massachusetts Pirate Party member meeting. We are nearly halfway through with the year, and what a year it's been. You too can join us at these meetings. The details are at masspirates.org. We have them roughly every 2 weeks on Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern. So with that, my name's James O'Keefe, resident of Somerville and chair of the party. I also see attending are Joe and Steve. Please identify.
Steve Revelak, Arlington, Massachusetts.
Joseph Honorowski, Lowell, Massachusetts.
Wonderful. Are there any changes to the agenda or additions?
None here.
All right. Hearing nothing else. For reports, in Cambridge, there was a shooting that occurred around the July 4th festivities. Unfortunately, the person who was shot did die from that. Our condolences go out to his friends and family. There's been pushback since this is Cambridge and Cambridge voted to get rid of ShotSpotter. That ShotSpotter would have identified this person's death, this person being shot. Although it's also been found out that, well, actually they kind of turned the dial down during the 4th of July time because there's a lot of fireworks going off, and the evidence that I've seen indicates that ShotSpotter would not, unfortunately, would not have saved this person. And still, the forces of we need more surveillance are bringing that up. So again, condolences to their family, and we still must continue to fight surveillance. We haven't had any events of late. We did have a party, such as it was, a pool party a week ago. We will try to do another one for a wider audience. I was told by the person who is one of the persons in charge of hosting said location that if we want to bring more people, that would be fine. So we'll see about something later on in the summer. We don't have any other events scheduled, but I know I'll be scheduling some stuff in the Somerville, Cambridge area soon. In terms of decisions and endorsements, there's nothing on the agenda. Joe, do you have any updates on Pirate Party issues?
Yes. So
I'm sorry. Sorry. So reports. I know the blog has been updated. Steve, you said you've updated the wiki.
Yes.
Thank you for that. And then some other software we need to update, but we'll get to that. All right. Sorry. Back to you, Joe.
Yes, there was a misunderstanding. I thought we had voted to cancel last week's meeting due to the 4th of July festivities, so I did not attend. Neither did Maryland, or neither did enough of the National Committee where we didn't have quorum, and so it ended up being a non-starter meeting. And it was just my misunderstanding of it not going off, plus family events, that just made it so that I didn't attend. That being said, I'll definitely be there tonight, and I've done a bit of work with the lookout position. I know me and you connected on adding some things to allow the captains to be able to post events right to the national blog, so that way pirates, no matter where they are, can see what's going on everywhere. And so that's some stuff that we're working on, at least in my immediate position. As far as that goes, we still have California recently lost voting rights due to lack of attendance. And so they're starting to come back around, and I know we're slowly growing, but we're still doing it. So it looks like Arizona is more of a stronger member now, with a lot more going on in there, and we're moving forward as a national presence. So that, and I know Drew's campaign is still ongoing. though I'm hoping to connect with them by next week.
Thank you for that update, Joe. For projects and events, so Pirate News, our recording from March, I hold my head in shame, is finally edited and uploaded. So folks can go catch that. For the last few ones we've been doing, since we didn't have an episode celebrating Public Domain Day, when we edit them, we've been interspersing public domain music generally from 1925, which is the new year. That was where music entered the public domain, but also some older stuff as well. If that's a feature you like about those, then by all means, we can continue. If folks aren't really interested, that's okay too. Just give us some feedback from how your feelings are on that. If you find them a distraction, if you think it's a nice touch, we always put the links in the description so you can go find the music yourself. Because hey, there's a lot of music out there now, and why shouldn't you have it taking up your computer's hard drive? So sharing and all that. Okay.
I do
So
have to say the next Pirate News, I really want online safety focused and just keeping one's data, how to purge one's data, how to keep stuff encrypted and stuff like that. I know this is something that I was hoping we could start making a yearly public service announcement about crypto parties and things like that. And I think it would be a good next week's video Pirate News would be a really good thing focused on data safety. And specifically on VPNs and how even with VPNs, they don't necessarily protect your computer IDs. And that's how they get certain. Actually, that's really how they busted a hacker. Not that saying that I'm condoning what the hacker did, but even just using a VPN, there's other ways that they track you. So, just a good example. And this was a hacker who was good at covering their tracks, and they still found it. So,
I think that's a good idea. We can cover that at the next Pirate News. Two things. One is we will be helping out at B-Sides Cambridge, Massachusetts on October 25th, which will be at the Center for Arts at the Armory. It is a community organized one-day hacker conference. If you want to submit talks, by all means, that's still open. So you can go to masspirates.org, check our event calendar on the sidebar, and you'll see that and you can get the details. We are organizing folks to have basically a crypto party or a set of different tables talking about different privacy ways people can protect their privacy. If that's something you'd like to help with, by all means, reach out to us at info@masspirates.org. Getting back to your point, Joe, I think that's fine for the next Pirate News. I'm certainly game for that. I know next weekend I can't record Pirate News, so we then have the following weekend. Let me get the calendar. Hold on.
that's fine if we can't do it for another month, because
Yeah, so
one of the
August.
things I want to segue into is that I do want to schedule some crypto parties in the Boston area and have us do the Pirate News about keeping one safe, and then segue into, by the way, this is our crypto parties and this is when we're holding them. So that'll give us a little time to organize a couple crypto parties going around.
Okay, that's a good idea. So I was going to suggest August 2nd is the next time we could meet for Pirate News.
Sounds good. You know,
Does that
you
work for
being
you, Steve?
the premier crypto safety person that I know.
I think that's
I would
Steve,
like to-
actually.
Oh, is it Steve?
I
don't know,
mean,
every
he's
time we talk
hardcore,
about
man. He's got a flip phone. So, he's hardcore.
I mean, this is true. But I mean, I think you're both phenomenal. But I know that people actually pay you large sums of money to do it. So
Really? Where was it? It's not in my bank account, man. I do this for free.
large sums of money is more than $2.
Oh, for crypto parties. Yeah, I guess my actual job. Fair enough. Okay,
You're
so if
educated.
if anyone sees this in the comments, by all means, leave us a comment. Send us an email, info@masspirates.org, if that's something that you want to help with, either in terms of doing crypto parties in your neighborhood, or if you have any skills you want to share, all that. But so we'll plan for August 2nd. For 2027, we're still working on the campaigns and voter outreach. I mean, basically starting now. So if that's something you want to help with, reach out to us. And so the other item for discussion is this an act protecting children from addictive social media feeds. So for those of you who caught it, wow, it's been a couple months. The House in the Massachusetts House, in one of its many ways of here's a bill, vote yay or nay, and we're just going to kind of drop it on you. Did a bill that would have prevented children from using social media sites, and indeed could potentially have prevented them even going to like masspirates.org. And because we do have comments, so people could put comments, and that would somehow sully the youth of Massachusetts. And one of the things that it did was it required everyone to prove they were of age, which of course means they're going to have to give a government issued ID, which has privacy implications. So thankfully the Senate is trying to deal with some of that. And so anyways, we were going to review the particular bill that the Senate voted on, which is S3164. Do you just want to start at the beginning?
Sure.
We could just go through the key points that we are really opposed against. I know that there were some things in there that were very concerning to us, specifically with them being able to track information. And
well, this one they're trying to deal with that. It's a little open-ended. So, for example,
Well, I
yeah.
can happily report that the Mass Pirates website does not meet the definition of an addictive social media feed.
Dang, man.
Because we do not prioritize or select content based on a user's device or a user's profile. You just see what you see.
And so this addictive social media feed, basically it's, if you so they basically kind of sort of define it, and then they give a bunch of exceptions. So if you're searching, so for example, if the recommendations are not associated with the user or user's device, i.e. they're not keeping tabs on what you've liked in the future to show you things that they think you'll like. If it doesn't have user selected privacy or accessibility settings, if it's not expressly or unambiguously requested, if the user like asks for a specific content or subscribe to a particular author, creator, or poster, or subscribe to the page or group for which the content is shared, there's opt-in on the part of the user. And if they requested specific content, if it's private or direct message, if they searched for certain data and stuff like that. Um, they really don't like infinite scroll, I noticed.
So
So,
age. Oh, go ahead.
yeah. Yeah, go for, what do you want to go for? Age signal?
Age signal has some good points and bad points. So this is supposed to be a device level transmission of an age category or age range. That's great, but if it's supposed to be coming from an operating system or an application distribution provider, it still means that someone has to have a categorization of your age. But on the bright side, age signal explicitly does not require the full date of birth, legal name, government issued ID, or biometric identifier. So that's encouraging.
Thanks, Steve. You know, they go on to like educational technology platforms is defined there. Infinite scroll is defined. So this would a minor, so anyone under the age of 18, which, like just saying like 16-year-olds can have sex, but they can't go on social media. That seems problematic. All right. I'm saying with one another. I'm not saying anything 16-year-old with anyone older. Um, that's just icky. And so social media feeds, social media platform.
Oh, so we wait. What's the definition of social media platform?
Oh,
Here we
sorry.
go.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's a public website, online service, online application, or mobile application that primarily serves as a medium for displaying content generated by users through social media feeds that allow users to create, share, view, and interact with user-generated content. Provided, however, that social media platform shall not include 1. Email, short message service, multimedia message service, rich communication service, or similar text messaging communication services. 2. Cloud storage services. 3. Online services or applications with the primary purpose to facilitate the purchase of sale or goods or services between buyers and sellers. Yada yada. 4. An educational technology platform. Or 5. Document viewing, sharing, or collaboration services. So how does this, where does a blog fit into this? It's a little ambiguous.
Yeah, I mean, I think, for example, for Mass Pirates, users are creating the content, but most of the posts are created by people somehow associated with the organization. So I guess that's where it would look like we would not be considered a social media platform. But at the same time, I'm thinking of, things like, is Discord a social media service? I mean, it's rich communication service, right?
Yeah,
Text
it's
messages. So it seems like
mhm.
Discord would not be covered. It seems like if you have a gaming platform and if you have a game and you're sharing messages within the game, um, that those are text messages. So
Yeah,
I,
there's a
I
little bit of a circularity to this because, so for example, so going back to content created by users. So a user is an individual who, through an account, accesses or uses either a social media feed or a social media platform in the Commonwealth. But user shall not include an individual acting as a covered operator or agent thereof. So if you go to covered operator, it's any person, business, or legal entity who operates or provides a social media platform. So yeah, I guess no, I take that back. I see how that works. So the people who provide the social media platform are not the users of the social media platform. So yeah, this is good for webs. This is good for bloggers.
yeah. And then content is an image, video, or text. Like, interesting that a game is not considered content. I mean, that is video in a sense. I mean, it's an image, it's video, text. I'm just trying to think of, where like Steam or other gaming platforms would be covered. Would they be covered? All right. Well, if we move on, so a covered operator shall use commercially reasonable and technically feasible methods to determine if a user is a covered minor, unless the user opts out of such methods, provided, however, that the covered operator shall provide the user with a clear, simple, and prominent opportunity to opt out of such methods prior to using them. The covered operator shall set default social media platform safety settings for a user determined to be a covered minor, or for a user that opts out of such methods, that shall disable an addictive social media feed, which was defined above. Disable push notifications to a user between the hours of midnight and 6 a.m. in the Commonwealth's time zone. And as I said before we started this, I think there are some adults, including me, that could use that. So I'm not sure. Yeah. Disable autoplay or other auto advance functions that continuously present content to a user. I mean, does that mean you have to reload the page? I mean, I don't know. Disable infinite scroll or other endless scrolling or pagination features.
So
So, I
this
mean,
is, I mean, I mean, I think the most obvious example, or two obvious examples, will be Blue Sky and Facebook. They will have to have next buttons.
well, but it says pagination too, right? It says, disable infinite scroll or other endless scrolling or pagination functions. So is a next button
Well,
considered an endless pagination, or?
all right. So, okay. So you don't it doesn't necessarily have to be implemented as a next button, but there has to be an end.
Right, but I mean, I feel like, if I as a user go and use this, and I don't want to go with whatever system they say for proving I am an adult, and not, like, 18 squirrels in a trench coat, then this is going to be, I wouldn't be able to infinite scroll and doom loop through through social media. Dang, man, maybe that's a good thing. All right. Anyways, require a clear and conspicuous manner after the user has accessed the social media platform for more than one cumulative hour of use in any 24-hour period, and every 30 minutes of cumulatives thereafter that the user has accessed the social media platform for any such amount of time, provided, however, that the social media platform shall require the user to acknowledge the reminder before continuing use of the social media platform. I mean, it's annoying. A covered operator shall not allow a user to change the default settings enabled pursuant to paragraph 1 unless the covered operator has used commercially reasonable and technically feasible methods to determine that the user is not a covered minor pursuant to section 3. B1, if a covered operator has actual knowledge that a user is a minor, the covered operator shall enable default social media platform safety settings for the covered minor's account that shall: 1. Restrict the visibility of the content on a covered minor's account to only connected accounts, provided, however, the information necessary for users to search for and connect to a covered minor's account, including but not limited to the covered minor's name, may be visible. 2. Disable the visibility or sharing of the covered minor's precise geolocation data with other users. Shouldn't we do that with other? Limit the covered miner. 3. Limit the covered miner's sharing of content to connected accounts. And 4. Limit the covered miner's direct messaging to connected accounts. Wait, but But I thought limited. I. So wait, you, this social media platforms. If I text with someone, that's not covered. But if I send them a message within a social media platform, that is covered. Seems like an inconsistency.
It does.
Other thoughts?
I just don't like the way this is written at all. It just seems a little too Uncle Festery. Like, they just need to leave it alone and not protect everyone's privacy, not just kids. So I think they're diving too deep into people's information. It's like the cat meme you showed. You should definitely post that cat meme online as well. Yes, that cat meme right there. Fantastic. It just seems like they're just going to need more information from us, which they will lose because government is known for getting hacked. And and there's no way that these social media sites will stay safe, which means now the kids' information is just going to be there for a skilled hacker to take, and it's just all sorts of circle bad. They absolutely don't need this. What they need is responsible parents and who are watching over their kids, not just I don't know how to explain it, but
Amen, Joe.
I do find section 21A sort of interesting where, the operator shall use, feasible methods to determine if the user is a covered minor, unless the user opts out.
In which case they'll be considered like a child. All right, so the Attorney General shall promulgate regulations identifying methods of obtaining such verifiable parental consent. Oh, sorry. A covered operator may permit a covered minor to change the default settings, enable the person to clauses 1, 3, and 4 of paragraph 1. The default settings required in clause 2 of said paragraph 1 may only be changed with verifiable parental consent. So now they're going to know that a child's account is connected to a parent's account. And what happens with that data? And then the Attorney General shall promulgate regulations identifying methods of obtaining such verifiable parental consent. Information collected for the purposes of obtaining such verifiable parental consent shall not be used for any purpose other than obtaining verifiable parental consent and shall be deleted immediately after an attempt to obtain verifiable parental consent, except where necessary for compliance with any applicable provisions of state or federal law or regulation. Nothing in this chapter shall be construed as requiring a social media platform to provide a parent any additional or special access to or control over the data of accounts of the covered minor child. The default setting provided in clause 2 of paragraph 1 shall be adjustable with verifiable parental consent in a manner that allows the sharing of the covered minor's precise geolocation data with only selected individual connected accounts.
None yet.
All right.
Yeah, no, it just seems like a well-worded way for them to collect more information about us.
I mean, they
And
do
about
say
the
it needs
kids.
to be. Sorry, go, Joe.
And about the kids, our children specifically. It's feeling a little Epstein Islandish.
3, a covered operator shall not provide a user with the option to change more than one such default setting at once. Really? What does that mean at one? Like, does that mean like each is a page or? Okay. Or 2, or I request or prompt a user to change any such default settings unless the change is necessary for the user to access a service or feature they have expressly and unambiguously requested. Wouldn't that feature slider be enabled if they've expressly or unambiguously requested? All right. 4, a covered operator may but shall not be required to use commercially reasonable and technical feasible methods to determine if the user's wait a minute. What? Okay. If determine if a user is a covered minor for the purpose of this subsection pursuant to regulations promulgated by the Attorney General pursuant to Section 3. Okay. C, no covered operator shall withhold, downgrade, or lower the quality or increase the price of any product, service, or feature to a user who uses the social media platform with the default settings under subsections A or B enabled. Now we get into section C, which was also mentioned here. The Attorney General shall promulgate regulations identifying commercially reasonable and technically feasible methods for covered operators to determine if the user is a covered minor for the purposes of subsection A of section 2. B, the Attorney General may consider among the methods identified under subsection A an age signal as a commercially reasonable and technically feasible method for determining whether a user is a covered minor, and maybe by regulation require an operating system provider to provide covered operators with such an age signal. Didn't California put that law that said Linux and all the other ones have to like check age?
Yep, and Linux refused to do it.
Okay. C, in promulgating regulations pursuant to this section, the Attorney General shall consider I, the size and financial resources of the social media platform, II, the cost and effectiveness of available age assurance methods, and III, the impact of age assurance methods on users' safety, utility, and experience. D, regulations promulgated pursuant to this section shall I set forth multiple methods for a covered operator to determine if a user is a covered minor, including but not limited to at least one method that either does not rely solely on government issued identification or that allows a user to maintain anonymity as the covered operator, as to the covered operator of the social media platform. II, limit the collection of personal data of a user to data that is strictly necessary to determining a user's age. 3, require deletion of personal data collected for the purpose of determining if a user is a covered minor other than the determination of the user's age immediately after making such determination. 4, prohibit the use of any personal data collected for the purpose of determining if a user is a covered minor for any other purpose. Okay. 5, Roman numeral 5, prohibit the combination of personal data collected for the purpose of determining if a user is a covered minor, except the determination of the user's age with any other personal data of the user, as it should be. VI, require the implementation of a review process to allow users to appeal an age assurance determination.
So there are ways I could see this actually being implemented well. I mean, obviously there are ways where it could be implemented badly, but if you take the approach of um, you know not letting the perfect be the enemy of the good. There is no, I don't think there's a perfect way to do this. But if you think of minors, a lot of the interactions are based on mobile phones. So I could see a scheme whereby, you go to the store, you pick up an Android or you pick up a smartphone for the kid. And at that point in time, um, you the then you maybe show an ID to the folks at the phone store, and they say, okay, this kid is under 18, so you set the under 18 category in the phone, and then the phone just sends it. And when the kid's 18, he's got to go back to the phone store and have them change the age category or whatever. That, I mean, could be a reasonable way to do it, but I think that level of detail will be subject to the whatever regulations the Attorney General promulgates, and frankly what wireless carriers or the hardware and software manufacturers for smartphones are willing to do.
Sure. I mean, it could be that the the birth date of the person whose phone it is could be set in the device, and then basically there's, a call that says, "Yep, I have verified this person is above the age."
Yep, that's,
And then that way all the information's local.
mhm.
Of course, well, I mean, the problem that I would then see for that is that data would be in AT&T or Verizon's database
Mhm.
to
So
probably sell as they so choose.
well, this is why I was advocating for, you set the someone looks at an ID, sets a category, and this way you're storing a category rather than a specific a specific birth date. But
Right.
there are ways to, this could even be one of these things where the birth date is encrypted and the device asks you for a PIN in order to look at it. So, I mean, I think there are
Yeah.
ways to do this, but again, it's going to be, so one of the, as an anecdote, there are Massachusetts bicycle laws. For those who were following the letter, it's Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 85, Section 11B. There are requirements for, reflective straps or reflectors on pedals. Yeah, so most replacement bike pedals don't come with reflectors. And very few straps, in fact, I haven't found any like reflective straps that fit around a work boot. So there is a little bit of wishful thinking here, and there we'll see how the equipment ecosystem responds.
I mean, to be perfectly frank, it took them how long to hack the super secure fingerprint security that iPhone came out with when it first came out, being like, "Oh, this is uncrushable. No one can break this fingerprint. This maps your fingerprint." It took them like what, an hour to do it. I don't see this as anything good. I see this as potentially. I think this is being written by people who don't understand the technology, don't understand how easily people will work right around this and get at our kids' data. You want my phone, bud? Good using your words. I just think that this is more wishful thinking and feel-good legislation that's going to lead to absolute catastrophic ends. And it will be our kids' data. Just saying.
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, it does have a bit of a feel of the nerd harder, but I mean, I'm also concerned about leaving it up to one individual, namely the Attorney General.
Well, I mean, it's the Attorney General's office, and that's my understanding is that's not a small organization, and usually when state organizations do proposed regulations, there is a public process that they have to follow, including a requirement to solicit public comments from members of the public. So it's we could at least have we'll at least have that kind of process available.
True. All right, so E, if a covered operator has used commercially reasonable and technically feasible age assurance methods in compliance with such regulations and has not determined that a user is a covered minor, the covered operator shall operate under the presumption the user is not a covered minor for the purposes of this chapter, unless it obtains actual knowledge that the user is a covered minor. So, kids, don't rat your friends out. F, a covered operator that uses commercially reasonable and technically feasible age assurance methods in compliance with regulations promulgated pursuant to this section and prohibits any user determines to be a covered minor from access to social media platforms shall be exempt from the requirements in section 2. All right, section 4. Cover operators shall provide the Attorney General with de-identified aggregate data on minors' use of social media platform, not less than quarterly. Such data shall include, but not limited to, 1, the number of minors who use the platform delineated by age or age range. 2, the number of time minors spend on the platform delineated by age or age range. 3, the frequency and type of modification of default settings for minors' social media accounts. The Attorney General shall make such data available to the public on its website. The Attorney General may promulgate regulations requiring the reporting of additional de-identified aggregate data about minors' use of social media platforms. So one thing I have a problem with this. I mean, I like they're going to try to do de-identified, so it's just going to be summary. But they're only going to do it in the age ranges. So, maybe the people who are going to be on it are going to be, 25 to 55, and they're spending 6 hours a day on the platform. And really, your 14-year-old is only spending about 30 minutes because it's just lame. So, I mean, like I feel like that data is kind of important, and to not have it for anyone who is classified as not a minor.
No, fair point.
Although, then of course they'd have to have the age ranges for others. But also, like, I feel like if your phone has a method that says minor, not minor, then the only data that you can have for this is minor, not minor. You can't break them down by age ranges. To break them down by age ranges means it has to have a date of birth.
Yeah, or I mean,
something else. Yeah.
in this, so the binary classification sort of lets you show minors versus adults, but even that could be interesting. If it turns out that adults spend a lot more time on social media platforms than minors, well then maybe this was maybe it was more trouble than it was worth. Who knows?
No, but my point is the text specifically says delineated by age or age range, and we're talking about minors. So just there, you have to collect their age.
Well, age range could be 0 through 17 and 18 through 99.
Okay, I guess so. I don't think that I don't trust them to do that, I guess is my point.
If I had to comply, that's the easiest thing to do, and that's the route I would take.
Fair enough.
I mean, to be
Facebook,
perfectly
you heard
frank,
it from Steve. That's what you should do.
to be perfectly
I
frank,
agree.
asking if they're over 18 has never blocked a minor from getting on the Pornhub. So,
Yeah, I mean,
Section-
one of the I think one of the possible outcomes of this is, social media platforms take the approach that Pornhub did and just stop serving entire states, which would be kind of funny.
Yes, it would. Yeah. All right, so going on, Section 5A, a violation by a covered operator of this chapter shall constitute an unfair or deceptive act or practice in violation of Chapter 93A, notwithstanding Sections 9 and 11 of said Chapter 93A. The Attorney General shall have the exclusive authority to bring a civil action against a covered operator that violates this chapter. B, a covered operator found to be in violation of Section 2 shall be punished by a civil fine of not more than $5,000 per violation, provided, however, that a covered operator shall be in violation of Section 2 for each user account not in compliance with Section 2. C, a covered operator that violates Section 4 shall be liable for a civil penalty of not more than $1 million each day of the violation of Section A persists shall be a separate violation. Man, that would just tank Blue Sky. Okay. Section 6. Nothing in this chapter shall authorize access to a social media platform or to content on a social media platform by an individual otherwise prohibited from doing so under state or federal law. Okay. Section 7, the Attorney General may promulgate regulations to implement this chapter. Section 8, the Office of, yeah, this is just kind of boilerplate, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. All right.
Well, from
Any
my
close?
recollection,
Yeah.
closing thoughts, from my recollection of the House version, this is better.
Yeah, I mean it attempts to allow a process that is more respective of people's private data. I mean, I think it's going to be sued out of existence, but I don't know. Maybe I'm being optimistic. Other thoughts?
I mean, I just don't like the idea of them collecting information on our kids' data. Fundamentally, I'm opposed to that.
I hear you. I agree. Anything we'd want to strike from it to make it a better bill?
I think we should really just make it so that the companies have to not keep data for us, for any of us, adult or child.
Yeah, even the methods that we came up with on the phone, now AT&T needs the data, Linux, like, I mean, they don't actually, like, that's an interesting thing. It only goes after the operator, but does it include the operating system? Did I?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
I have if you only did smartphones, that would probably be a 70% solution. And, maybe that's good enough.
right.
What they should really do is just focus on one segment of media at a time, like online media, computer media, phone media, etc. One institution at a time, and really just focus on individual segments.
All right. So the Senate, what do we want to recommend our supporters and members do?
I have no recommendation at the moment. In terms of, well, to me, a lot of it is I think the real important part, determining what,
No
methods.
recommendations from Joe. Sorry to interrupt.
Thank you.
So I think the key piece will be the regulations that the AG's office promulgates for acceptable methods of age verification. So until you have that, that's to me, that's sort of like the big key part, and that's not specified in the bill. So, the fact that it's not specified means you can't say anything about it now, but it will be important to watch later.
Right, but then, like, once it's been voted on, then the Attorney General is just like, well, we're just implementing this. This is what the legislator wanted and what the governor signed.
Well, but again, they have to do a regulation proposal, have a public comment period, and then sort of sit on it, similar to the way the regulations for, say, the MBTA Communities Act were handled.
Sure. Thanks for that context, Steve. All right. So I guess in the next email update, we can tell people about this and we can suggest they catch this video and give us their
Jamie.
feedback. Yeah,
Jamie, can you hear me?
I can. Yes.
Sorry, I'm across the room right now. So I would say that I would recommend those who are listening in and those who are supporting us to reach out to legislation to tell them that this bill needs a lot more work in order for it to not be backfiring.
Sounds good. Thanks, Joe. All right. So we're pretty much at time. Shall we adjourn?
Motion to
So
adjourn.
mo- Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And with that, we are adjourned. Thanks. If you've reached this far in our recording, thank you very much. We hope you found it useful. You can always check us out at masspirates.org. And if you want to support the Pirate Party, you're welcome to join us at these meetings every 2 weeks, 8 p.m. on Eastern. So with that, and of course, we always want your help. So go to masspirates.org and sign up for our mailing list or volunteer or things like that. We're especially looking for candidates. All right. Take care. Adios.